We started making Christmas movies as a family in 2006, and every year, almost every year after that, we kind of made up our own stories. And as we got better and better as the years went on, we started to incorporate other kinds of stories. And We Wish You a Merry Christmas ended up being sort of a cross between Harry Potter, Star Wars, and who knows what else. And just kind of made it our own by incorporating other elements. And then Eggnog was an original story. And then, so anyway, we were doing all these original stories, and eventually, if you're in the business of doing Christmas movies, you have to eventually get to A Christmas Carol, because that's the quintessential Christmas story.
I remember we were having like a party night, and I don't remember if we were having it to plan for a movie or just having a party. But somewhere within that party, after everyone left, it was just me, Matt, and Nate.
Nathan stayed a while, and I think his idea of that night was he had brought helium balloons over because he wanted to make a movie where we'd suck in helium and just talk with high-pitched voices. That's why he was there that night.
I was thinking that it would be really funny to see you or Matt or Hugh or some of the other characters doing something really serious in the movie, but with helium.
So there was never a plan to sit down and plan out our Christmas movie.
All we knew was we wanted it to be kind of like Eggnog, because Eggnog was our latest successful film.
Kind of an Eggnog Part 2 is what we really ended up deciding on at the very beginning.
At that point, we held Eggnog at a really high level, because that was something that we really, I wrote it in 2 days, and we shot it over a period of about 4 days. I mean, the whole thing was just, really quick and really effective, and it was really funny, and it didn't bust our butts or anything. It just happened really quick, and it turned out great. So we kind of held Eggnog as the standard, like this is what we want to do this year. We don't want to try to do We Wish You a Merry Christmas, which is like a 40-minute video that just is all over the place and complicated. That's how it started. It started with that premise. We started talking about doing A Christmas Carol, but obviously it would have to be a much, real watered down version of it.
And so that was always something we wanted to do, but I think we just thought that it was a really big project, a little over our heads, and we knew it would take a long time, and we never really seriously thought about it because of, I think, the props as well.
It wasn't until Nate mentioned, how about a musical, just jokingly.
I said, all right, Matt, we can do this, but we've got to make it a musical. And his face was just like, shut up, Nate.
And this is one of those Nathan ideas where you're just like, okay, just get them all out. Just get all your dumb ideas out, and we'll just get it over with, and then we'll start thinking for real. And that was my reaction to him saying, let's do a musical, because obviously we're not going to do a musical.
I would have loved to see Matt just dancing around with Mark and Russell and Tom doing things. I mean, it would have been really fun.
And then Nathan left, and suddenly everything started to make sense to me.
I started thinking about the access to music that we have license to, and we just need to provide the lyrics. So I came up with like a couple lines of song for a scene, and he liked it right away, so we started making the whole thing a musical.
So at first, yeah, it was an outlandish idea for us, as inexperienced as we are as filmmakers, to not only pull off a feature-length film, but to do a musical. And I remember probably the best planning session we've ever had was actually on my birthday, my 29th birthday that year. And we had some friends over, we were watching a game, and the game wasn't going well, so everyone kind of migrated into Russell's room, and our good friend Robert Allison was in there with Russ, because Robert's a musician himself, and so a lot of his interest was in the music and the lyrics too, and so he was helping Russell go through and find songs. And by the time the rest of us got in there, they'd already found 2 or 3 really good songs, and Russ had already started some of the lyrics for him.
Take a
step right here and a step right there. Turn around and toss your troubles in the air. And there's a line right here. And then right here you sing. And just before you know it, you're an all-natural pull. You'll be glad you threw it down, you found a way. It's super fast.
Yeah. You did good.
I really hate your face here.
It was like the movie was just coming to life right in front of me, just hearing that music. And that's the moment I knew that it was going to work, was when we heard the music and lyrics coming together. And we were either rolling on the floor laughing at something, or we were just, just the future was like opened up to us, like this movie's going to work and this is how it's going to look.
So when we were deciding characters who should be what, I kind of wanted me to be Jacob Marley because I had this image in my head of how he should be and act and move. And I remember Matt mentioning to me that he was thinking about Ben.
Most of the characters were pretty set in stone from the beginning. I knew Mark was going to be Scrooge. I knew that I was going to be the Ghost of Christmas Present because I'm fat.
And I thought that was great. I thought it would be a lot of fun. I just didn't realize at the time how much work it was going to take for me to play that role until we got into it. But it was a lot of fun memories, getting things organized and taken care of, and reading the script together so we get an idea of what we're going to be doing in the movie.
I knew that Nate would be Bob Cratchit and that Anna would be Mrs. Cratchit, stuff like that. With Tom was kind of a wild card. I knew he'd be one of the spirits, I just didn't know which one.
And I think the selling point for that with Matt was when he wrote the actual scene and we voiced it together. Matt was Scrooge and I was playing Jacob Marley, and we just kind of played some dark music and went through the script together.
Ebenezer Scrooge. Scrooge is petrified. Who are you? In life, I was your business partner, Jacob Marley. No, that's not possible. Jacob Marley is dead. Dead 7 years tonight. You fool. I am the ghost of Jacob Marley, here to bring you a final warning.
And then the rest of them just kind of fell in place later, but I knew that I was going to be the Ghost of Christmas Present. And the first thing that we bought for my costume was the stereotypical long beard and the wig, So that's just what you think of. Well, I hated the way I looked in it. It looked so fake, and we had done so much to try to make everything look genuine. We had Mark. We sprayed Mark with white hairspray all over his face to give him kind of an ashen, older look.
The hardest part was definitely the spray painting. I just remember being informed to close my eyes before I got sprayed. So I closed my eyes, and next thing you know, I got sprayed down.
This is actual.
Sprayed down pretty thoroughly until I was white. During that time, that was during the winter time, so it was the cold months, the spray paint was cold, it did not feel good at all. So I absolutely hated getting spray painted.
And then for me to come in with some obviously fake beard and mustache would just completely be stupid. So it was like the night before the first shot with my character that I just completely threw out the whole idea. I had these glasses from my mission in Sweden, these sunglasses just round, and so I was going to wear those, and I knew I'd look really creepy like that. And then we found this crown, something like from Game of Thrones, at a Halloween store.
At the beginning of the scene, when Jacob Marley is walking up the stairs, we had a bunch of fog going up. We had 4 fog machines just going at the same time. And we had this thought beforehand, hey, there are smoke detectors in here. Do those only detect smoke, or are they going to detect fog? And luckily, Matt was smart enough to call dispatch ahead of time, just in case.
I called them, I'm like, if you get an alarm from City Hall in American Fork, just ignore it. We're filming a movie, okay? Thank you.
Twice, the smoke alarms went off, or the fire alarms went off, and it was just ear-piercing. And it was like 10, 11 at night when we were doing this. And we were just afraid people would like freak out, like the city hall's on fire.
I'm so glad I did that, because otherwise we would have been on the news that night, because the alarms went off twice. We would have had fire trucks all over the place, and we're just this little film crew just like, ugh.
Look, Ebenezer, I am on a...
In the planning session, I remember several planning sessions, we were like, okay, so do we have him fly out the window like normal? Because that's boring, because every adaptation of the movie does that. Let's just have him fly out the window. I didn't want that. So the original idea was they'd touch the orb and they'd disapparate like from Harry Potter and just end up in the past. So I just had the idea of just have him knock it out of his hand accidentally and smash. And it's like, now what? And then, I don't remember if it was before that or after, we were just like, what if he's on a bike? Like E.T. I'm like, okay, he'll be on a bike, fine. And so and that ended up being a big problem for us later. We had no idea how we were gonna do that. We just knew it would have to be green screened.
Honestly, that was a really cool scene. I didn't expect it to turn out the way that it did.
Tommy.
Get closer, Ben.
Hello. His face paint is
And one more closer.
It was scary at first. I didn't like it at first. I hurt myself. I like got pinched somewhere in my leg, between the rope and the bike.
Now I'm just gonna get the very first shot of you. This is the first shot of the whole thing.
I was gonna say, that's what got us into this predicament in the first.
Yeah, I'll do that in a minute. But right now,
I was like, this isn't gonna work, I'm sure. But they pulled it off nonetheless.
okay, so right now, Tom, you're just looking forward and you have a really pissed off look on your face, okay? Just, yeah, with your jaw sticking
Just
out a little
imagine
more.
yourself floating off the ground
And
about
just-
4 feet in the
You
air.
have to, because I can't see
And
your eyes, so you have to.
all you have supporting
Yeah, just
you
like that,
are
ready?
ropes and a bike. And you've just got these, you got like 3 ropes or so. And if you lean too far one way or another way, you're just gonna lose all control.
Our fear was, you don't know how good the shot looks with green screen till you bring it into the editing process. And that was our only night that we could film the flying scenes. So it was very iffy to us as to, will this look good? Will it look horrible?
I remember Russell and Matt just informed me of things that I should do while I was on the bike, either turn this way or that way, or just kind of shake myself a little bit, make some facial expressions, and I did all that. I had no idea what that would look like.
Would you quit trying to understand how things work and just go with the flow? That's what brought us into this stupid predicament in the first place. We would have been finished by now.
When I saw that scene finished, my mind was just blown away. Like I mentioned earlier, I did not expect it to be that great.
Russ made Scrooge do these crazy somersaults on the bike. And my first reaction was like, why? What the heck was that? It ended up being such a hit though. And so I never asked him to change or anything. I just thought it was a little overdone. Working with Mark, it really goes back to when we first shot We Wish You a Merry Christmas in 2011, which was the first movie that he'd ever done with us. And he came back to Texas and played the lead villain in We Wish You a Merry Christmas, and just did a phenomenal job for his experience level, which at that point was nothing. But his performance, his ability to completely get out of himself and into a different character, it brought the whole family together. And so subsequently in films that we shot with him, we made him a lead character. And it wasn't long before we started thinking, hey, we should do the Scrooge story sometime, and Mark should be Scrooge. And that was an idea we'd floated around for 3 or 4 years leading up to it.
Mark is a trooper. With all that we filmed as him as Scrooge, and with all the makeup, and just with his costume, and with how much time we needed out of him, it was just unbelievable how much he was able to put up with, and scene by scene, take after take, retake after retake with him. He really handled it well.
As much as we were worried about him fulfilling the schedule that we made for him and showing up at everything, he outperformed all of our expectations, not just in how well he acted, because he really did a great job, again, for his acting experience level, but he was completely invested in the whole process. And so working with him was mostly just really invigorating and helped me feel like what we were doing was really worth it, because it may not have been something we submitted to film festivals and won awards for or anything, but it was bringing the family together, and it was really making it it was a great experience for him and his wife, and so yeah, working with him was just awesome.
Everything that you do is going to require some hard work, whether it be work or school, just anything. But in the end, after all the hard work is done and you see the results of what you've done, then it makes you not just satisfied, but just overjoyed with what you've accomplished. So these movies here, yes, especially since I played the role of Scrooge, being in every single scene, it was difficult. It was definitely hard, but in the end, it was worth it. I do feel that sense of accomplishment, and I enjoy going back and watching what I helped produce.
Every single Christmas movie we've made, it has brought our family closer together, because we have given a part to every person in our family, and so we all kind of work together to create a story.
When we showed it at the end in our premiere to members of the community, members of our family and our friends, we got such a great reaction from it, and it wasn't surprising to me that people liked it. What surprised me was that people were coming up to me afterwards and saying, the message of this movie was so good. And part of me was like, have you never heard the story before? I mean, come on. Everybody's heard this story. Everybody knows the message. I think what we did that was different was we personalized it to our family in ways that people, I think even family members that have seen it don't even realize.
Ebenezer, look at me. You should know this. Christmas doesn't bring you friends. It doesn't heal your family. Christmas is about hope that things will work out in the end.
All of us knew going into this project that this isn't something that we're doing because we want to, try to compete with other filmmakers. This isn't something that we're trying to do to submit to Sundance or to try to get our names out there. These Christmas movies are purely for our enjoyment and our family's enjoyment and our friends' enjoyment. It's purely for enjoyment.
Our youngest was sitting back there. He was back there eating popcorn and enjoying it. But when he saw the transformation of Ebenezer, he teared up. And he didn't just tear up, like he really, our son is very sensitive, our youngest one, and we were surprised at how touched he was by it. He saw the story of it, and it was so well portrayed that even afterward, as we were driving home, we're saying, what touched you? And he said, well, he changed. And he was happy, and he wasn't that bad person. And it was awesome. It lends itself to the story of, that's why Charles Dickens wrote it, is because there is something that can change in all of us. That's the great hope, is that we can change.
That was pretty cool. We're not in it to make people cry, but when people cry, we feel happy.
If that were to go away, if that film were to, I just can't imagine that not existing. I would be less of a person. I would not be as enthusiastic and as happy as I generally am. You can't trade that for anything. So.